Hello everyone, Arders here. I've decided to do a quick video with some hints and tips that have helped me. Now I'm not going to say they're going to help everyone, but they may help you when putting your first line down or just getting into building. So yeah, I'm just hints and tips basically that have suited me, may suit you. So let's get on with this. The first thing is you can cycle through your locations when you first load the editor. When you first load the editor, let me just click new. You're offered a location. You can cycle through these using your bumper buttons, which is your left bumper, right bumper, L1, R2. So you can do that. Let's just find a quick place to put a few things down. Here I'll do. We don't want it in the water. I'm just going to put down a quick line. No, actually, before you put a line down, you can also choose a time of day by using your X or your square or Y or Y and your triangle chooses a camera preset. So there you go. Quick camera presets. You can change the time of day as well by pressing your circle button or your B button. When you hold your left trigger and you can move your camera about. Let me get close to the ground. You can move your camera about if you hold down your left trigger and it goes really slowly. But keep in mind it's analog, these triggers. So if you press it halfway in, you move slowly slower than what you would normally. Like this is out completely. If I push it in a little bit, I only move this fast. And the more I push it in, the slower I get. It's the same when pressing your right trigger to speed the camera up. If I press it in a little bit, I go a lot faster, and the more I press it in, the faster I go with the camera. One that a lot of people don't know is if you press both left trigger and right trigger, we're on proper zoomy time and we fly throughout the world really quick. So that's if you press your right trigger and left trigger in at the same time and you're looking for a spot to build. If you look in the top right, you can see how fast I'm moving around the entire map. So there we go. Your left trigger and right trigger when building helps you with your camera speed. So yeah. Now, when you start building, you may not want to see that map in the top right. So if you pull down on your D-pad, oh, I've got to put a line down first. Let me put a line down, bad person. Right. If you pull down on your D-pad, you'll get this radial menu. Editor settings, and you've got some goodies in here. And the mini map in the top right, when you start building, if you disable it on the top left by pressing your A button or X button, depending on the controller you use, it'll disable the map. So let me go back into the game, and the mini map is no longer in the top right, just in case that's getting in your way. Back to the editor settings. You can see on my screen at the bottom there are buttons to give you information on opening the menus and giving you other hints and tips of what buttons do what. If you know basically what all these buttons do, you can turn those off in the editor settings as well, which is there. Button info visible. I'm going to disable that. And now you can't see the buttons at the bottom. You've got a more clean working area. Another thing that you may not be interested in, I always leave this on, but you may not be interested in it. Hold on a minute. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Where's that gone? Ah, there it is. The rider path. That's where your bike goes. I thought it followed the rider for some reason. You got this green line of where your bike has gone. And it's especially handy if you're building ramps and how far to put the next ramp. It's this little green line. You can turn that off as well in the editor settings, which is under this rider path. And as you can see, it's disappeared. So now when I just move along and bail, come back to editing, the rider path has disappeared, but I like the rider path there. Keep camera position. I'm not going to go into any of these other things actually. I'm just going to leave that as it is. Okay. There are a couple of things that I use. Now, placing objects. We're going to go into placing objects. Let's just pick something really quick. Drain pipe. If you want this on the line and your driving line, just press your right stick. Boom, it's there. There's a couple of other things to keep in mind with the right stick. No matter how much you orientate it, when you press your right stick, it'll put it to the line. And there it is, on the line. If an item is already on the line and you press in your right stick, it will reset its rotational orientation. So, and then it goes like that. So no matter what you do, if it's on the line already and you press in your right stick, it'll rotate it. If you don't want that to happen, just press on your B or circle button and it will unrotate it. If you've rotated it and you've accidentally clicked off, but you want it how it was originally, press your X button to undo. Your X or your square button to undo. Right, also, placing items on the ground. It's, as you can see, when I place an item on the ground, it's like, oh, the ground is not level. I want it to be perfect with the ground. So you start faffing about, rotating things, trying to get it right. I'm going to show you a little trick, and I'll do this step by step just in case it's not apparent. You highlight your object so you can see the handles on it. You press your back button, your window button, or your select button on your controller, depending on which controller you use. And that enables physics while you are in the editor. So basically, every object has got physics. You can see that by the rider just slowly moving forward. Enable physics, and there he is just wobbling away. But the good thing about physics when they're enabled is if I pull this down to the ground, you can see it rest. And it should be perfectly on the ground. There it is. Look, absolute perfect on the ground. So you pick your object up, you place it where you need on the driving line, press your back to select button, pull down on your right stick, and it places it on the ground. And to further exemplify this, let's get this plank. As you can see, without enabling physics, you can pretty much stick it anywhere like that. But if I were to grab this, let's just rotate it around like so. right stick so it's on the driving line, and I press my physics button, which is the back or select, pull down on the right stick, boom. It is now perfectly resting on that. See that? Perfectly resting. And I've not had to fine tune it to try and get it right. It's perfectly resting on the floor, perfectly resting on the barrel, and you've got yourself a nice, simple object. Boom. So by pressing that button, you are not enabling physics on the object itself in world. You're just enabling them temporarily while you rest something down. So if I were to get another plank, rotate it, enable my physics, down on the right stick, boom. And that's resting against that. Now, granted, every obstacle in the world doesn't have perfect physics with it. Perfect hitboxes. But if you're just trying to make a mess in a corner for decoration, this is the type of stuff you can do. Select the object, press your back select window button, and then pull down on your right stick and it'll rest as you want it to. Keep in mind that you can also kind of move it along, and it will kind of move along in a physics manner. So yeah, there you go. A little bit of hints and tips there for you. The thing I want to get onto as well is collisions. I've been watching someone and they're building a track and they're having an issue with some rocks. Now I'm not sure what rocks they were, so let me go to environment. Let's just get one of these rocks. I don't know if it's this one. Get rid of these. Let's have a look. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. I can pretty much ride through that. Now, you'll find this with a lot of environment objects because they're not supposed to be put on the driving line. It doesn't mean you can't put them on the driving line, but they're not designed to be. Now, you want to kind of make it so you are going over this rock and sticking to it. Let me just make the line a bit easier seen. Let's put it that way. So to stop yourself clipping through the rock or being bumped up by objects that aren't supposed to be there, what we can do is we can select this rock, we push up on the D-pad, we come down to Advanced Physics, we scroll down to Physics Type, and we're going to make it decoration only. So far, decoration only, what that's going to do is you're just going to ride right through it. It's got no collisions whatsoever. And you may think this is counterintuitive, but it's not, because we're going to put our own collisions down. So to do this, we push up on our D-pad, come to Tools, Common, Physics, Custom Collision. And these custom collisions have variations as well. So when you've selected it, if you use your shoulder buttons, we can go through them and we will find, well, we start off with a cube, then a cylinder, then a bigger cylinder. This is a plane or a square. Well, it's not a square really, it's 3D, it's a plane. You've got a cuboid, sphere, and a rectangle. The rectangles are the ones I use the most because they're easiest to play about with when you resize them. I just find them easiest out of all of them, the rectangles. So what we can do is then start putting our custom collisions down. Oh, I should have mentioned, when you're placing objects as well, at the minute, my sensitivity is really high for me putting this about, moving it about. If you were to press right on your D-pad, you'll see the handles of the object have gone a lighter color. And when I move it now, the sensitivity is not as high. If I was to press right on the D-pad again, you'll see the handles have changed an even lighter color, and I can barely move it fast at all. And to reset it, press right on the D-pad again, and you can move it fast. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this down to mimic the rock. So we'll get this bit here. And instead of me pressing A to select it, to place it, and then going back into the inventory, if I press my Y button or triangle button, it copies it. And now I've got a copy of that. So now what I want to do is place another one I'm just going to do this quickly. Place that there. And I should take my own advice and press my Y button. And when you're placing these objects, you want to follow the line on the path more than anything. Now, I'm not going to go perfectly into the ditch or anything, but I am going to trying to get it as much in line as possible. So something like that-ish. And you'll find sometimes these rocks hitboxes, they are not as simple as what most objects are. They can stop you from grabbing an object, like here. I'm hovering over the object I want to grab, which is a custom collision, but the rock is highlighting, so it's asking me to move the rock. If in some circumstances, on this case, I can grab it easily by just moving my cursor, but sometimes you can't do that. But if you get really close into an object, it's easier to grab it because you've gone inside the hitbox of the other item, which makes it easier to grab if you get up really close and personal with it. So what we can do, like that, it's not letting me select it. Get up close and personal, it's letting me select it. Copy, and then we'll carry on resizing this. And so long as you're kind of covering most of the pathway or whatever you want to cover, a lot of it won't be noticed. Because I'm going to ride over this really quickly in a minute. See, there we go again, close and personal, so we can grab the item. Come on, where are we? There. And we just rotate and place as we need. I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to swap this out to a sphere. Just resize it. Going to resize that a bit more. And a bit more. It's all trial and error when we're doing this. Just to get that edge bit done there. Like so. And ooh, let me grab you. There we go. I've grabbed it. Copy and just bring you over a little bit. Like so. So there we go. I've just done that really quick. And if I was just to drive over this now, I can feel the bumps of the rocks. But there we go. It looks like I'm driving on it. And we're on that sphere bit now. The only thing that I've not done is this part down here. But that's simple enough. You get the idea of how to fill things in now. And we can fill that in really easy with something kind of like that. And for that other bit that's sticking out, let's go and grab this sphere, get up close and personal with it. Just pop that sphere there for that little bit of rock. And while it's not perfect, people generally aren't going to go really slowly over your items to make sure you've got them right. But if you look, it does kind of look like the tyres are going over the rocks themselves. So you don't have to be perfect when placing them, just kind of close enough. So yeah, that's custom collisions. Another thing I like to do, I've been doing this all along and I've not even mentioned it. You have two modes with your camera. One where you can look around when you press right on your right stick, and one where you can move left and right with when you press your right stick left and right. The other thing is when you're looking away or looking at something and you want to be on your line, you press your right shoulder button and it snaps to it. But to change those modes, oh my god, I was on about the modes and I didn't even mention which button it is. If I want to use my right stick to move along the line, I'm pressing my right trigger now to do this quicker. Right? I want these little arrows on the left and right to kind of point outwards. And this is my straight line always facing the driving line. Sorry, same orientation as the driving line. We are parallel with it. The other one, if I press my left stick in, if you want to kind of turn around and do intricate things to make these curved arrows appear, you press your left stick in and this helps you rotate around. Now this is usually only best when you're building intricate things and you're going to be getting up close and personal. Otherwise, your bad habit of mine is left stick, right shoulder bumper, and I'm always parallel with it. It'll take some getting used to, but that's how I build and that's what helps me. Everyone's different. So there's that. What else is handy for me? Right. There's over 8,000 objects in the editor. Well, I've been told over 10,000, but I know for sure over 8,000. So what you can do is, let me find something I really dislike, like this thing. I dislike this thing very much. But you can struggle to find something. And if you find yourself using an object more often than not, what you can do is click on that object, push up on the D-pad, and down the bottom here, you have Save to Favorites. So I'm just going to save to Favorites, and you get a group which to save in. You have 5 groups. I'm just going to save it in group 5. So if I select 5 and select Save, it'll then come up asking me to choose a name for it. So I'm just going to call it I don't want this. My keyboard is far too far away from my hands for me to be typing. I don't want this. No. I don't want this. There we go. So favorite saved. So now, if you push up on your D-pad and go all the way over to favorites in group 5, there's that I don't want this thing. And that's how to save items to your favorites. If you're using bombs a lot, for example, I'm just going to do this really quickly. I've got a tutorial on how to do bombs, but I'm just going to do a bomb really quickly. Where are we? Break event. Player event. Player event's not needed. And then explosives. Let's just get a barrel. Think. Put you on the driving line. Select hitting objects. Then I want on hit. Again, this is not a tutorial on how to do bombs. I'm doing this now for just to show you something. First things first, grouping is important. So if you wanted to move your bomb somewhere, we could move it wherever. But if you've got a lot of code and logic, you're going to get these blue lines spanning halfway across the map potentially. So what we can do is, while we're holding our left bumper, left or L1, and we hover over the items, we can select all of them. So we've now got them all selected, and we're moving them all together within the and they're keeping the same kind of distance away from each other. They're all relative. So what we can do now, we've got them all selected. If we push up on a D-pad and group objects, now that they're grouped, the next time I select any one of these, it'll grab them all. So you can see I'm grabbing them all. It doesn't matter which one I select. Now, another beauty about this is if you select them and you push up and you go save to favorites, I'm just going to save this in group 5 again. Save. My beautiful bomb. Save. Object saved. So now when I push up and I go to my favorites, my beautiful bomb. Boom. There's another one. There's another one. One thing to keep in mind though is that when you've got code and the bomb grouped, and then you press your right stick to get it on the driving line, you'll see it's not actually on the driving line. It's got the center of mass on the driving line, not the actual objects. So to remedy this sort of thing, if we hold our left bumper, select the bomb, so you're only selecting the bomb, and then pressing your right stick, boom. So with grouped objects, press your left bumper, select one item, and that's how you can move individual items. If you press and hold over a group, after a second it will select them all. So you've got to be quick when pressing the left bumper and then your A or X button. But that's how you save groups to favorites. One thing to keep in mind, when you've got a group, you've got to be careful when deleting individual items. You can left bumper, highlight, delete, and delete individual items like so. If you do not select the individual item when you're deleting a group, when you're deleting it, it'll delete it all. So yeah, and keep in mind, when something's been grouped, you can also ungroup it. And once you've ungrouped it, they're all individual. Again, if I press undo, they're regrouped. Undo is your X or your square button. You can also select an item, push up on the D-pad and remove from group that way by doing think, and that one item is removed from group. So that's kind of it for those things. There are some more hints and tips I could go through, I suppose. What can we do for hints and tips? Yeah, one hint and tip is never adjust the camera unless it's absolutely necessary. There are times where it's absolutely necessary to adjust the camera. But other than that, do not. There are circumstances where dramatic effect you can move the camera. For example, you're doing a massive jump over a big chasm. You can have the camera pan out and just take the view in, and then you can have the camera go back into the rider before he lands. But as a rule, you do not move this little blue thing at all, because there's nothing worse than this being moved and you're playing the track like this. This is, it's horrible. So we never ever move the default camera. If you want to use dramatic effects, we have, if I find the right place, where are we? We have under Tools, Common and General, we have custom cameras. And the custom camera, if I just put that there, will work when I get within 20 feet of it. I think it's 20 feet. So as I come up here, you'll see it's coming round to that camera. So let me just do this real quick. See how it interpolates in and out. So on this circumstance, it wouldn't be good. But if you're going over a big jump, you could have something like that. And providing it's not going to interfere with how the rider is when he lands or takes off, that's perfectly fine for dramatic effect. But when riding, please don't ever touch this thing. We like this thing as it is. So yeah, that's a big hint and tip for new builders: leave the bloody camera alone. As you get more experience with cameras, you'll know, you get hints and you'll learn your own kind of tricks to do with them. And it's generally, I'd say 19 times out of 20, it'd be through the custom camera that you're doing your hints and tricks. You can, if you choose, I say don't adjust the camera. When I say don't adjust the camera, I'm on about the distance. If you press the blue camera and push up on the D-pad, you can change the visual settings. You can change a bit of the color if you choose, make it kind of a little bit more greeny on this one. And then we can chrome, bit of chrome there, scan lines to make it kind of look weird. Where are we? Cell shading. We like cell shading. We'll put some cell shading on. Bit of vignette, maybe. Just, I don't actually know how you say that. Is it vignette? Vignette? I don't know. So yeah, we can play about with the visual settings. So now when we test the track, it looks all kind of weird and stupid. But leave the camera where it is for distance wise. Right, let me just undo that so we're back to our default stuff. We can get rid of that because we don't like it. We can, if we choose, pull down on our D-pad and we're going to go to track settings. Got game mode settings, environment, music playlist. The music playlist, what you choose here is the music that will play in your track when you release it. So the music playlist, if you want a specific song playing, this is where you do it. You can even do a custom one. So custom, shuffle, select song, let's just select that song, and then I want that song, and then I want this song. And the shuffle is, does it play them in order or does it not? That's simple enough. I'm not going to go too much into that. I'm just going to say whatever you choose a music playlist is a music that will play on your track when you release it. Game mode settings. Recommended bike. Please put your recommended bike in. Please, please, please. It's a little pet hate of mine that the recommended bike isn't displayed on a track when it's been uploaded, because the creator knows what bike they use to create a track and test the obstacles. Please put a recommended bike in. And the other thing, when you are doing the difficulty for your track, if you think your track is a medium, label it as hard, because after time of you playing your track again and again and again, you become so accustomed and familiarized with it that it will become easy for you and you could misjudge the difficulty. So if you think something's easy, label it as medium. If you think it's medium, label it as hard. Medal limits. This is straightforward enough and it should go without saying, but please put your medal limits properly, not stupidly out of this world where a diamond is 3 seconds but it takes you a minimum of 4 seconds to cross your track. Don't enable bike steering, guys, on the normal track. I want to stick to the driving line. I don't want to be able to kind of fly over there and come this way and miss the track. It's yeah, don't enable the bike steering unless it's a skill game and you want your steering to be enabled. Don't. Crash message. I like to disable these, but I disable them because I always have cutscenes or something that will let you know you have crashed. If you're not going to do a cutscene or anything to let someone know they have crashed, please keep it enabled. Environment. If you're just starting out, it's best to stick with the time of day custom preset. You can change different when you're doing your custom day as well. It's always better to zoom out a little bit so you can see how it changes everything. So when you're doing your environment, Arctic morning, Arctic day, and you can change it so it can be however you like. And then when you've chosen one you like, let's just go with desert sunset for the time being. And I find that the sun or the moon isn't where I want it to be, like it's over there. Like, well, I'm not really happy with the sun being over there and the shadows being created behind him like that because it's not really giving a good effect for the shadows. What we can do is I want my sun over there. So let's go back into the track settings, environment, sun settings, and just the longitude. Let's move that over there and select that. Let's see, where's the sun now? The sun is where I wanted it to be, and I've got better shadows. I mean, the shadows are, I don't know, quite long, and I don't want them like that, let's say. So we go back into the environment, sun settings, and the sun angle. Let's just move the sun angle up a little bit so it's more in the sky. So that's how you kind of change the look of your tracks. You choose whichever track you want, and then you move the sun or the moon wherever you want it to be to give you the right shadows. So yeah, there's a little bit of an environment that will always help out when creating a track to give it your shadows and maybe a little colour and atmosphere. Hints and tips. What else? What else? Let's have a look through here. Checkpoints. If you're building anything extreme or less, you generally want to have a checkpoint after every obstacle. So after that obstacle we've just gone over from the start, I'd put a checkpoint there. So hold on, let me restart the track. Run over an obstacle, checkpoint. It's an easy obstacle, but if the track's listed as easy and it's a really easy obstacle, there's no harm in having a checkpoint there anyway. So yeah, don't be stingy with your checkpoints. What else have we got? Fail areas. If you have a fail area, and let's just do something else really quick. If we have a fail area and we've got, let's just get a couple of ramps out really quick. Events, large, that'll do. Let's just do. And landing there-ish, I think. I'm just doing this by sight now. I don't even know if I can make that. There we go. Right. Fail area. Let's choose the right kind of one. Is it that one? No. It is that one. Uh, So we've got a fail area there like that. So if I'm going along this and I come along here and I land like this, oh no, I got it wrong. Let's get this right. Let's do this the easy way. Let's get another checkpoint and just pop you there. Let's just move this up to there. Come on. There, like that. Okay. Fail areas shouldn't be like that. I've seen it many a time on tracks where you just about don't make it. Like that. And you're failing. And you don't know why. Make sure your fail areas are well beneath where it's savable from. So if you put it at the bottom, that's fine. They're going to fail if they go into this area. That's fine. But I landed in that area and it's like, well, why have I landed there and just come off my bike? Always give a reason for failing as well. Doesn't matter what the reason is, but give a reason. So, I don't know, just I think it's in Blood Dragon somewhere. No signs. No, it's not in Blood Dragon. Maybe it's an Evo. Cylinders? No. But what you could do, you could put all sorts of things down here like a rotating blade or spikes or lava or water even to say that they've drowned or anything to in the fail area. Give them a reason to fail. Tell them why they are failing. Because there's nothing worse than going into a fail area that you can get out of. Because I know I can get out of this, but it's like, oh, I've failed. Why have I failed? I can get out of there. I've only landed on grass. So yeah, give a reason for the failures. Don't just let them fall and not have a reason. Yeah, and always use fail areas correctly. Give them a little bit of distance before they fail, especially if you're building it in the sky. If you're building a track in the sky or above ground, my fail area would be down here. But my fail area would be down there. So if I don't make a jump, at least I've got a moment to fail with. And it's not just happening straight away. You could take it even further down than that. So yeah, be nice with your fail areas. Like, no, boom. So that's a little bit about fail areas. What else have we got? Train stamps. Oh, horrible. They take a bit of getting used to, do terrain stamps. But to recap, make sure checkpoints are visible and you know where the checkpoints are. If you're doing custom checkpoints, just make sure they're visible so someone knows where the checkpoint is. You've seen what I've done with the custom collisions. They don't have to be perfect. Just make the thing with the bad hitboxes into decoration only by up, advanced physics, physics type, decoration only, and then put your custom collisions down in whatever way suits you best. The fail areas, be generous with them, and the bombs, make a group, stick them in your inventory, and that's easy enough. I've given you a bit of advice on cameras. Generally speaking, you should only adjust the camera for dramatic effect unless it's absolutely necessary. I'll give you a bit of advice on the sun and all that jazz and your environment, but the thing I will say most is test your track. Test it and then test it again. And when you finish testing it and you think you've tested it enough, test it some more. Right, I've been going on for 50 minutes now, so I'm going to get off. But thank you for watching this long. I hope you're kind of still alive through not being that dehydrated. That's if you're still here, of course, and not buggered off on holiday or started reading a book. Although that would be better company than what I'm doing now. But yeah, there's just a few hints and tricks and tips and whatchamacallits. Yeah, until then, for what I've given, I hope this has helped you out. Even if it's just one thing that's helped you with, whether it be the camera or lining things up on the driving line, anything, I hope it has helped. Yeah, these fail areas, by the way, they don't have to be kind of underneath the driving line. They can be, you can drive into them as well, and it'll just kill you instantly. They're very handy things to have. Unfortunately, which I don't agree with, fail areas do not have a trigger. I don't know if you can use hitting objects with them. Let's find out. Triggers. Yeah, you can use a hit trigger with them. That's fine. But until then, that's it. I started ranting off again. I don't want to rant anymore. I've got things to do, like, I don't know, sleep and drink coffee. And yeah, I don't want to be annoying you anymore. What are you still doing here anyway? Go on, switch the video off now because I'm ending it. Like, I'm ending it right now, like this.